everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am clearly dressed for the occasion as I will be sharing my ranking of the Bridgerton book series. I was originally going to make this discussion about the books and how it interplays with the Netflix series, but after season 3, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm probably gonna have to save that conversation for another video. So today we will just be discussing the 8 books. Now I am definitely a little bit late to the plate in discussing Bridgerton, but I also came into the series a little bit late. I didn't end up watching the Netflix show or reading any of the books until this past year. The only reason I got into Bridgerton was because I saw Queen Charlotte on TikTok and I was like, I have to watch this, but then I figured I should probably watch Bridgerton before I watch Queen Charlotte, and here I am now. So after watching the first 2 seasons and then watching Queen Charlotte, which is the prequel, technically, to the Bridgerton Netflix series, I got so excited for season 3, but it wasn't gonna come out for another year. So I did what anybody else would do, and I went to Tumblr. At first, I just wanted to know about what theories people were talking about and what people were interested in and what people liked and didn't like, and then I fell headfirst into AO3 and fanfic because I wanted more. And I'm unashamed to say it. The thing is, I only knew the Netflix series at that point and whatever they revealed about season 3, but very quickly I realized I was missing some key details in some of the stories because I wasn't including book canon in Netflix canon. So I decided I should probably just read the books so I knew what was going on. Miss Julia Quinn is an amazing writer. I read all 8 books and then immediately read all 8 again just so I could annotate them and put tabs in them. I went head first. It was so intense. They were amazing. The problem is I'm now more invested in book canon than Netflix canon, and I don't know if I can go back to Netflix canon at this point. All said and done, this is my official ranking of the Bridgerton books. Number 8 goes to The Duke and I, Daphne's story. I bought the book series as a complete 8-book series, and this is the only one that actually has the Netflix character on it and doesn't match with any of the other books. It's also slightly bigger than all 7 books, so it really messes with, my bookshelf, but that's not why it's 8th. Daphne and Simon. Now, I am a sucker for the fake dating to dating trope because obviously they're going to fall in love. It's so cute. But adding in that additional twist that Simon happens to be Daphne's older brother's, not best friend, but pretty good friends, adding in, love that. Absolutely love it. But this book in particular just had a lot of miscommunication, or not even miscommunication, no communication. This story was so interesting because the characters just weren't telling each other what the problem was. They took their trauma and just bottled it all up and then made it everyone else's problem. And then they were just gonna have their marriage be silent, be this mistruth. I wasn't a fan. I just wasn't a fan. There were some really cute moments, but I wasn't a fan of it. But let's be real, that's definitely a common theme in all 8 books. They're not telling their partner something very important and then it affects their relationship. That is a very common theme throughout all of them. So I'm not just knocking this one for that. The reason this book is 8th is, I don't think I can say it on YouTube, but that part when Daphne forces herself on Simon and while he was drunk, and that part just made me very uncomfortable and it wasn't really addressed. They've moved on very quickly from that, and for a supposed, love story, having that taint the relationship just didn't exactly sit right with me. I don't think it sits right with a lot of people. So that's why I put it 8th. All said and done, I definitely like the first half of the book way more than the second half of the book, and my favorite part does come from the first half, and it's the part when another suitor is coming on to Daphne and Daphne hits him in the face and then Simon finds them like that, and then the suitor tries to go after Daphne again and Simon's like, can I hit him? And she says, oh please do go ahead. That part just made me laugh. But this is number 8. To Serve Philip with Love, Eloise and Philip's story. Honestly, this one would have been last if it wasn't for what Daphne did. I couldn't in good faith not have that one last based on just how strongly I reacted to that, but I'm sorry, I just was not a fan. I just was not a fan of this story. My favorite parts were the parts when the other Bridgerton brothers were involved in Eloise's story and not actually Eloise and Philip's story. Philip, I didn't love Philip. I really didn't. He was just more in love with his plants than he ever was Eloise. I know this trope was marriage of convenience, but I kind of wish I saw more of them being in love, or at least falling in love. It was like one second they were trying to get to know each other and the next they said they were in love. I really kind of missed that falling part. Now, my favorite part of this book was when Eloise and Philip were having dinner and they were, getting along, getting to know each other, and they hear loud footsteps and argumentative voices, and Eloise just knows it's her brothers coming. And then the brothers come in and pin Philip up against the wall and, protecting their sister's honor. I absolutely loved that part. The dynamic between the brothers and Philip is top tier. An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict and Sophie's story. First of all, ew, I'm sorry. The offer was be my mistress because I can't marry you because of class rank. Oh, come on. Because they end up getting married anyway because he learns it's actually fine. So we could have skipped this entire thing if he just dealt with it. Nobody had a problem with it but him. And I know, Regency era, that's just the way it was, but doesn't mean I can't not like it. Double negative. You confused, so am I. Don't worry about it. No, but this is just like the Cinderella retelling. It's fit with an evil stepmother and two ugly stepsisters, one actually evil and one that actually is redeemable towards the end. There's a beautiful silver dress and a hidden identity and one glove left behind with initials that he doesn't recognize that he tries to find. It's honestly very romantic, besides the mistress part, but... And my favorite part of this book was when Benedict finally realized that Sophie was the long-lost woman in the silver dress that he fell in love with. All he says is, "Do you have something you need to tell me?" That got me. I don't know why that got me, but that entire scene of coming together and him realizing who she actually was I really liked. The Viscount Who Loved Me, Anthony and Kate's story. Now, this one is controversial. I think this is kind of low. I know people are going to say that this is low, but hear me out. Now, I love the enemies to lovers trope. I just feel like this book and this series just didn't hit as hard as the others. I loved everything about this. I loved the series, so I had to put this one somewhere. And for me, after reading this and going through my notes, just kind of landed in the middle. I will say the characters in this book in particular hold quite a lot of trauma. I don't think the most, but quite a lot. So having those characters explore their individual traumas and then coming together, realizing they don't have to be alone anymore, that was very sweet. Now in this book, the Pall Mall scene is probably one of the most highly regarded scenes, specifically in the Netflix series, but something that we missed in that, I wasn't supposed to talk about Netflix, I'm sorry. One thing we missed in that scene was the scene when Anthony found Kate during a thunderstorm because she was terrified of the thunderstorms because of her past trauma. And it was such a beautifully written scene, the way he helped her, the way she didn't even know it was him who was helping her until later, and how, they came to again. It was just so cute. My favorite part was at the end when Kate, Regency era, calls Anthony Lord Bridgerton, and he says, "Anthony, you should call me Anthony, I've already called you Kate." And it's just cementing their relationship ever so slightly, because characters in Regency era did not call people by their first name, but by Miss or Lord or Mr., etc., etc. So that little detail before they were actually together, I thought was a great touch. It's In His Kiss, Hyacinth and Gareth's story. I adored this book. It was a mystery trope. So they were friends and then they kind of fell in love as they were solving the mystery together. But what really threw this book over the edge for me was Lady Danbury's relationship with Hyacinth. They have such a great relationship, and it makes it 10 times better that Lady Danbury is Gareth's grandmother. These characters solving a mystery and sneaking around Mayfair together was very cute, but man, can Julia Quinn write a complex male character with daddy issues? My gosh. Now, my favorite part of this book comes a little bit towards the end, and it's the part when Hyacinth goes across Mayfair by herself, which you are super not supposed to do during the Regency era, to tell Gareth something that she solved another part of the mystery. And so Gareth gets so mad at her because he was so concerned for her general welfare. And Hyacinth says, "When did you grow so pompous?" And he immediately, or as she wrote, practically roared, "When I fell in love with you." And I love when characters get so angry that they forget themselves and reveal an emotional truth or declaration of love. So that was a great touch. When He Was Wicked, Francesca and Michael's story. Now this one honestly could have been 3, 2, or 1. Let's be real, when I got into the top 3, they all were so close together. It took the tiniest details to really separate them out. This is the most heart-wrenching story by far. Every character is a sympathetic character. Now, I was super hesitant at first about Michael being John's cousin. I didn't know how those roles were going to play out over time, if it was going to be uncomfortable. That being said, not only was the actual storytelling so articulate and well done, but also with so much respect and reverence for John, who was Francesca's first husband and Michael's cousin. Because of that overall respect and the time and grief that they both went through, the fact that they came together in the end actually made sense. Also, it was very loving. And it's not that we were giving up on John after he died or anything else, but there was really so much love around all of them that it all just worked. It really worked. My favorite parts of the book were when, in one part of the chapter, Julia would say Francesca made him laugh. She knew she could always make him laugh. But then, like 3 chapters later, Julia Quinn wrote that Michael made her laugh. Those little similarities and back and forth just really made the entire book. That being said, my absolute favorite part happens right in the middle. Francesca is at a ball and a suitor is not respecting her. And before she has a chance to do anything, she said that the man in front of her seemed to quite simply disappear because Michael came out of absolutely nowhere and took him down to the ground. And he says, "Say the word and I will crush his ribs." Now, Francesca says, "No, don't do that. No, that'd be bad." But that part, that really got me. That was a great section because he was just always there watching over her and protecting her no matter what, even if she wasn't sharing his affections at all. Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, Colin and Penelope's story. I am so glad that on the cover it says Colin and Penelope's story and not just Colin's story, because normally she just writes the Bridgerton character on the book, but she wrote Penelope because she deserves it to be a major part of the story as well, so I'm very glad that she did that. Also, you can probably tell why I wasn't happy with season 3 based on the fact that this was my second favorite in the ranking. There were so many aspects of this book that I loved, and it really boiled down to 2 main things. First, I loved how Julia Quinn portrayed the friends to lovers trope, being able to fall in love with someone who has basically been in front of you this entire time, but you just didn't realize the particular importance that they were to you. And 2, separating out the idea of a person versus how they actually are, and making that transition in your head going from, well, this is what I thought they were like, and I liked them because I thought they were this way, but they're actually this way, and actually I love them too, regardless. And it was definitely a rocky battle for them, but I really liked how they resolved. I also really liked how Whistledown was revealed before they were engaged rather than after, but that's not the point of this video. My favorite part of the book comes at the end, when Penelope, Lady Whistledown, is being blackmailed and she doesn't know what to do, and he says to her, "I'll take care of everything. I don't want you to worry about a thing." Now, what I loved about this book was how independent and amazing Penelope was, and I don't think that was ever lost in this book. He said to her, "I will take care of everything," and I bet she believed it. And I bet that was an amazing feeling. I would love to feel that one day. That doesn't take away my independence. That doesn't take away how strong I am. That doesn't take away my own, that doesn't take away the fact that I can do anything. But to be able to look at another person, to be able to trust another person to do that for you as well, I want to see it in my lifetime. I really do. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I perfectly articulated that, but all I can say is Colin is a male character written by a female author. Now do you get it? And last, but certainly not least, on the way to the wedding, Gregory and Lucy's story. This was probably the most unhinged story, but it was amazing. Something about Gregory being so enamored by love because he watched all of his 7 siblings find these amazing relationships and fall more deeply in love, and he just wants that for himself so bad. He convinces himself he fell in love with someone else, like love at first sight, but really it was her best friend, and they formed this great friendship that turned out to be love later on. There's something funny about it. And then her being betrothed to someone else, and I'm trying not to just do a retelling of the entire story, but it's just so good. And Lucy, but mostly Gregory, need to fight this uncle. And sure, there's some minor kidnapping, but it was for the greater good. And slightly consented? I don't think it was. Also, how can you not love a book that features some Bridgerton boys hiding in a tree and then promptly sprinting to a chapel so that he can declare his love for her? Didn't work, but he tried. Also, 9 kids at the end. Jeez Louise. But I did find it very adorable how they ended up naming their 9 kids after their friends and family. So it was a great tying together of the entire family. Now, the title entails that the chapel scene's probably the best part. And don't get me wrong, it is. But my favorite part is at the end. Throughout the series, it is a well-known fact that Gregory is a terrible shot. And you really got to read the book. This is going to come out of complete nowhere, so I apologize if you don't know. If you don't know the books and you made it this far, just buy the books and read them at this point. I don't know. I hope no one got to this point without reading the books. Anyway, a gun fired. Gregory aimed, he fired, but first time in his life, he hit his mark. Well, almost. He didn't end up killing who he was shooting. It was more shooting to stop. And it worked, so good for him. So that is my official ranking. If you disagree with me, I want to hear it in the comments. I want to fight, honestly. Well, no. I want to have a conversation over our shared interests. Nobody bring up the Netflix show, though, because honestly, the wound is still fresh, and I don't want to talk about it. I need time to rewatch and accept Netflix canon, but for the time being, I want to only accept book canon. That being said, I am always looking for new book recommendations. You can leave them down in the comments below. I've left my socials in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you all next time. Bye.